So this is the sewing process for my flare dress with the yoke. So I've drafted my pattern here according to the step. So now I have my pattern here and I want to do interpret my style on it. So all I need to do is since I'm doing a slash and spread to get my flare, I'm going to extend my dart line. So my dart line is going to serve as one of my slash lines, like that. Then I get the midpoint for the midpoint of my back shoulder. So this method is for people that don't have excess on their shoulder. So if you have excess on your shoulder, just turn your excess into that. I'm sure you know how to do that. Then you connect, you do something like a panel line. You connect it to your waist that time. So I don't have excess here on this shoulder. Shoulder is 11. So I get the midpoint and connect. Like that, you can see I've paneled the line. So I bring the front pattern as well, connect this as my panel lines. So connect it. So those panel lines are the ones you are going to slash for our flared dress. Okay, so the next thing to do now is to mark my yoke point. So marking my yoke point, I need to close this dart. To mark my yoke point and to do my neckline, so I need to close this dart like this. Okay, then secure it with your tape. So you secure your darts with your tape like that. Now I want to mark my yoke point. So marking my yoke point, I can just do, you can pick your desired yoke point as low as you want it and the shape you want. I already explained how many shape that you have. So let me do 13. So I'm marking 13. I mark 13 on the hammer. So I'm going to mark 13 on this 1, 2, 13, like that. So after you've marked the yoke point on the hammer, then I need to get my yoke depth. So my yoke depth for back, let me do 17 cm. So 17 cm for my yoke, then whatever shape I want, I connect. So this is like a cano, like a slight curve. You can see it. So everything that has to do with this upper part is your yoke. So you are cutting this line, you are cutting here off. So as for this that is here, you can cut it off or close it and use paper tape to hold it down. So that's that for yoke. Let me do the front yoke. So doing my front yoke, I need to get my depth as well. So my depth should be, let me use the chest, let me use 13 cm for my front depth. Now I connect it. Since I'm working with a Kano, like that's a slight curve, so I connect it to the, like that. So since I've already closed my dart here, I don't have problem with that. So everything that has to do with this part is my yoke. So I'm cutting this side off. So as for the sleeve, if you want to do your sleeve yoke, after you've drafted your basic sleeve pattern, you can just trace it front part. You know, this is my front pattern. You can just use the front part of the sleeve and trace it round your armhole so that you can get this point on the sleeve as well. So you go to the back section of your sleeve and do the same thing. You can trace the back curve, align it with your armhole starting from the top, align it until you get to this point, then you mark it. So after marking it, then you can now connect the two, create your sleeve yoke, and you cut the yoke line off. So you use whatever fabric you want to use for your yoke, and you use the remaining fabric you are working with for the remaining part of the sleeve, which you are going to do now, and your choice of sleeve rather. So now that I have my yoke front and back, the next thing to do is to do my neckline. So since I'm doing a round neck, so I can just come down 3 cm. This is going to give me a high round neck. So 3 cm from neck base down, then 3 cm for the width. Okay, then you connect like that. But if you are doing a Kano neck, if you are doing a high round neck, that means it must have an opening at the back. So you can just do a slit at the back, use bias to finish the slit and fix your hook and eye. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want it to have a zip at the back, then you can just do a wider neck, which is a Kano neck. So if you want to do a Kano neck, you already know how to get your Kano neck. It's always wider at the width level. So let me clean this round neck off and interpret the Kano neck. So let me do, for my Kano neck, let me come 7 cm from the NP. So I'll do the same thing, 7 cm from NP for back. So I get my depth, my neck depth. Neck depth for back, you can do 3 cm. So neck depth for front, and coming down from the base, 2 cm. So now I can connect my 2 marks now with my curve so that my head can pass through. So that your head can pass through without zip. like that. Then you do the same thing for the back. Okay, so I have a wider neck now. Now the next thing to do is to cut off the neck. So you are done with the neckline. So I'm going to cut off the yoke now. I've cut front yoke and I've cut off back yoke. So what you are left to do with the rest is to do more slash lines in order for you to spread. So remember, the more your slash line, the more the flare. The more your flare is. So I'm doing more slash line. Like that. So I'm going to do the same thing to the back. Do more slash lines. Okay. So I have my slash lines. The next thing to do is to slash and spread on another paper with your amount of fullness. So remember, center back and center front is on fold because it does not have receipt. So you see this my waist that is going to enter my flare. So I will just leave it there like that. So I've slashed everything to the tip. The next thing to do is to place it on another fabric, on another paper, and spread according to your fullness. So remember, I told you your center back is on fold. So you spread it according to your fullness. The more wider you spread, the more the effect of your flare will come out. So you can do 4, 6, 5. It depends on the amount of fabric that is available. So after you spread your pattern, you can now blend your hair. So blending the hair, I'm doing this. Like that. So remember my center back unfold. Okay. So I'm cutting it out. So this is my flare, but if you want extra fullness at the side, you can decide to add it. So see the way I'm going to add my extra fullness to the side. All you need to do is extend this hem line with half of what you spread your flare with. So this is 10 cm, so I'm going to do 5 here. Then I want my extra fullness to come maybe from under the arm, from the bust line, which is under the armhole line, or you want it to come down a bit. So whatever measurement you want it to come down to. If you want it to start from your under bust, just get your under bust line and shape it, connect it there. So let me just come down 6 cm from my from my UP under hand point. I'm coming down 6 cm. So I'm going to blend this 6 cm to this extra flare at the side, like that. So I have it. Then you can now do your blending with the side blending. Like that. So I have my perfect flare. And that is it. Okay, so this is for back. I need to spread the front as well. So spreading the front, my front is also on fold, center front on fold. So you now see this folded excess. You can see that it's giving me something like a cup here. I need to turn this into flare to make it flat. So all I need to do is slash my dart line, slash straight up to this point. Automatically my dart has been turned to flare. You can see it open. So then I can go on with the rest of my slash lines. I slash, to the tip. You can only slash through if you want the gathers effect. And I slash to the tip. So you can see it's just my shoulder dart alone that I did not slash up to the tip. I turned my shoulder dart into flare. So I need to set it here to spread it accordingly. Okay. So my center front unfold, I set this first. And remember, when you are spreading your pattern, if this is my white paper pattern, don't bring it up close to the edge. Shift your pattern that you are spreading, shift it down a bit, leave a lot of margin up here, so that by the time you are spreading and it's curving inward, you still have enough space up here to spread with. Because if you bring it up, you end up removing your distance and shifting it down. So then I start my spreading as well. So you spread according to the amount of fullness. So now I'm going to add more paper because of the extra flare I want to add to the side. So after that, then I blend my hem. So as for the extra flare at the side, just extend it and mark half of your spreading. There. Then exactly same thing, you came down for the back, 6 cm. So I'm going to come down same amount for front, mark my 6 cm. Then I connect. connect like that. So in case it's giving you something like an angle, just use your curve to blend it well. Like that. So, and we have our perfect flare. So I'm going to cut this out. Like that. I need to take note of something to make sure my front side and my back side are the same thing. So I have 38 here. Okay, you see. So this is correct. So I'm cutting the end off. Okay, and I have my patterns ready. So this is my front, my back, and my yoke in place. So let's cut on fabric. So now I have my pattern and I'm placing it on the fabric this way. Yeah. Okay, okay. You can see my center front and center back, they are both on fold. Like that. So I can now cut. Remember, I already added allowance to my pattern, so there's no need to add allowance here again. But if you did not add allowance to your pattern, add it before you cut, and don't add more than 1 inch. So I'm adding allowance here. I'm adding allowance to the side. Okay, so let me just use this opportunity to show you how to fix your inseam pockets. So if I want this flare to have a pocket now, all I need to do is okay, measure my pocket entrance on my pattern. So this is my waistline here. So my waistline, I'm coming down a bit with maybe 3 cm, but because this is a miniature, I'm not going to come down. But for adults, come down like 1 inch. That's 3 cm. So because it's a miniature, I'm not coming down. I'm going to use the waistline like that. So this is here. Then from this point, I'm going to measure the pocket entrance. So let me use 9 cm for the pocket entrance. So can you see my pocket entrance? You see this mark, then I extend it on my fabric, on my sewing allowance. So I'm going to notch that part. The notching is just to show that that is my pocket entrance, in case I'm sewing my pocket. So now I need to know my okay. So now I've cut my yoke. You can see my yoke, front and back, they are on fold. And if you want your back to have an opening, all you need to do is just slash your center back, which is on fold like this. You can see, just slash it to some points, slash it, and that opening you can use bias to finish the edge, or you use facing to finish it, any kind of finishing you want to use. So now, as for the neck, you can either cut facing for it, or as well use bias to finish the neck. So I have my front and my back here, you can see. So now I was saying my pockets, inseam pockets. I have my pocket depth, and I have my pocket width like this, and I have my pocket entrance. So I'm going to cut this measurement out on the fabric. So how do I do that? Just fold your fabric like this into two. Fold your fabric like this into two, and measure whatever you have as your length and depth. So my length is, I'm going to leave a margin of, let's say, ½ inch, or not up to 1 inch, like that. So from that line, I'm measuring my pocket length. So my pocket length is 14 cm, 14 cm, and my pocket width is 10 cm. So this is 10 cm right here. So all I need to do is to connect it. So I have something like a rectangle like this. So then after this, I had the allowance that I have here. I'm going to add it to the side. Add sewing allowance to the bottom too, and cut it out. Like that. So then I need to mark out my entrance here. So my pocket entrance, starting from this line, I'm going to mark, my pocket entrance was 9. So I'm going to mark 9 out. That's my pocket entrance. So I will notch it the same way I did on the fabric. Notch and notch. So I have a spread. Now if you want to shape this pocket, you can just do your shaping like this. Curved these parts like that, and I have my bottom parts. But if you still want to shape your bottom parts to be curved, then you shape it like that, so you have a perfect round. But I'm not going to shape this bottom part. So all I need to do now is to cut. Can you see? So I'm placing this because it's 2. I'm going to place it on another fabric so that I can have my second part. enter my notch as well to the second pocket. Like that. So let's go and sew. Okay, so I have my patterns there, and the next thing is to start sewing. So first thing to do is to, this is my front flare. I'm going to sew my yoke, my front yoke on it. So aligning my yoke, I need to get my center. So that's why I'm notching the center like this. So pinning my front yoke to my front flare. And I'm going to sew with the amount of allowance. So now I've sewn my yoke. You can see this is my back yoke and this is my front yoke. You can see my flare. So the next thing to do is to fix my inseam pocket, this one. So fixing my inseam pocket, I need to close my shoulder, then set my notches to align, and you pin, and you pin. Okay, so I'm going to sew my shoulder now. So now I want to fix my pocket. I'm done with the shoulder. So all you need to do is, you know, this is the wrong face of my pocket and this is the wrong face of my fabric. So see these notches that I have on my pocket, I'm going to align them on the right face, which means right face of your pocket facing right face of the fabric. So I'm lifting one part of my piece up. I'm setting the right face to the right face of one piece, like that. So I'm going to align the notch and pin together, like that, and like that. Can you see? So you bring the other side, other right face, you align it with this other piece, other right face, the right face of the other piece. So I'm aligning the notch and notch together, like that. So you pin in place and I pin in place. So the next thing to do is to sew. So I'm going to sew on exactly that allowance that I left, starting from my first notch. Don't pass your first notch. So but make sure you lock it when you start. Okay. So I'm going to do the other one. So now that I'm done with the two, so now I have something like this. Can you see? So now I want to finish up with my side. So you are going to flip your sewing to the wrong face, and I flip this part too to the wrong face. Then I set my notch together, aligning my sewing allowance. So you set the upper part, then you set the bottom part to the second notch, like that. So make sure you are on the same allowance. My pin is not sharp. Like that. Now I have to finish the side. So finishing the side, we are going to sew on the allowance. So you sew all the way. Remember to flip your pockets. This is your pocket allowance. Remember to flip it so that it does not obstruct your sewing. So see, now sewing your dress allowance. When you get to this point, you have to pass it with maybe 1 cm. That's like ½ inch. So you can see I passed my notch a bit and I lock. Then I lift my footer up to continue to finish my side. So I have to come like ½ inch before that one too, and continue my sewing. So you lock and you finish up. So that's that for the side sewing. So now the next thing to do is to finish up with to sew my pocket allowance. That's the outer edge of my pouch, my pocket pouch. So you cut unnecessary threads. So I have to finish this part and finish this part. So all I need to do is flip it like this and sew on the allowance. So starting from this my sewing here outside, don't go beyond that you're sewing. So you finish up and stop at this point. And we are done with one pocket. So you can now trim if you have excesses. And remember, always finish your raw edge with your serger. So I have my pockets, inseam pockets. I've sewn the side. You can see this is my inseam pocket. So you take it to the ironing board and iron well. So I continue with the other side, and I sew my other side. So now I'm done with my flared dress. As you can see, my flare, my yoked parts, the neck, the canoe neck. Then I'm sure you know how to fix your sleeve, so you fix your sleeve. And as for my pockets, I have my pockets, my inseam pockets there. So that is it for your flare dress with yoke. So remember, your yoke could be anything. You could use lace, mesh, organza, whatever kind of fabric, and you can do mix and match of colors. Just play with the yoked part, that which is the upper part. And also take note, you can do facing, you can do bias to finish the head. It all depends on the kind of neckline you are doing. And if you are doing a round eye neckline, you can always have a slit at the back. So when you have a slit at the back, you can use your facing to finish it. You can